This was a brief introduction. Meena, go ahead and tell more about yourself and you can start.
Okay, namaste everybody. Good evening to all of you. I just want to thank Shri for giving me this opportunity to talk to all of you on this very important topic. Yeah, I'm a nutritionist. Before COVID, I had my own clinic, and then because of COVID, I closed it. And then I work full time for the federal government, but I also do private practice. I give talks on different topics at Shiva Vishnu Temple and different places in Maryland and Washington, D.C. area. I teach yoga and meditation. I used to teach yoga at different gyms, and again, because of COVID, I stopped. And now I'm volunteering to teach here in Shri's group. Okay, so let me share my screen. I would like to show you the slides. So we're talking about the nutrient deficiencies in vegan diets. So we all know that plant-based foods, veganism, vegetarianism, they're all very good for health as well as for the environment. But today's session is not going to be about that. Because if I have to talk about that, it's going to be a different seminar or altogether, a different 1-hour program I need for that. But since the number of vegans is increasing in the United States as well as in the world, many people do not know that they may run into nutrient deficiencies. So it's very important to know what type of foods we take and whether we are doing it right. So let's see. So let me give you an account of the different nutrient deficiencies a vegan may go into. Now, there's a very small line between a vegetarian and a vegan. So the term vegetarian is very loosely defined because you have lacto-vegetarians who eat dairy, that is milk and milk products. Then you have ovo-lacto-vegetarians who also eat eggs along with dairy. And then you have some people who eat fish and then they still call themselves vegetarians. So it's a very not well-defined term. So when I go over these slides, I'll be bringing it to your attention what types of deficiencies a vegan may go into or whether a vegetarian may go into, and sometimes it overlaps, both overlap. So this particular, So this information or this presentation is just for educational purposes because each person is different and their needs may be different. So if you have any individual problems, any individual nutrient deficiencies or any other problem, it's best to consult a nutritionist or a dietitian. So as I was mentioning, that 6% of the US population is vegan. That is a lot of people have are going for plant foods. And in you see the numbers in 2014 has really skyrocketed. Number of veganism in 2014 was only 1%. Now it has gone up 6 times. And veganism is skyrocketing across the US and shows no signs of stopping any soon. And it's not just in the United States, it is all over the world. So veganism is going up. So I would like to give the talk and then you may ask questions. Otherwise, you may also put the questions in the chat. And then we'll do a round robin for the questions so that each person gets a chance to ask. Otherwise, usually one person may ask like 10 questions and we cannot move on to another person. Okay. All right. So this slide just shows a list of the problems, the nutrient problems for a vegan. So one of it is vitamin B12 deficiency. The other is protein deficiency, iron, calcium, and omega-3 fatty acids deficiency. So this is just a list. So we'll talk about each of the vitamin and each of the nutrients one after the other. So vitamin B12 is present mostly abundantly in animal foods. So a vegetarian who's a lacto-vegetarian or a vegetarian, ovo-lacto-vegetarian will not have a problem, because as you see in this picture, their eggs are rich in vitamin B12, milk and milk products are rich in vitamin B12, and of course meat, fish, the other animal foods are rich in vitamin B12. Now, but a vegan may run into vitamin B12 deficiency because they don't take eggs or dairy. But there are some plant foods which are not consumed very often, or they are not very popular plant foods, which do contain vitamin B12. These are seaweeds. Seaweeds such as nori, wakame, dulse, they do contain vitamin B12, and they're quite rich because one sheet of this nori, it contains like 2.4 micrograms of vitamin B12. But they're not very popular. Maybe people from Japan and other countries, or the Koreans, maybe from the islands, they may be consuming, but more people from India, South Asia, Southeast Asia, we do not consume these foods. So it's just to bring it to your notice that that these foods do contain, if you do not feel like consuming these foods, then it's best to take foods that are fortified with vitamin B12. Fortification means that the food inherently does not contain that particular nutrient. So the manufacturers add a particular nutrient to that food, and this and thus hence that food becomes rich in that particular vitamin or mineral. So you can take fortified foods. In the United States, we have no problem with this. Lots of foods are fortified with different vitamins and also vitamin B12. But if people from other countries, this may be a big problem. So if you cannot take foods which are fortified with vitamin B12, then you can always take tablets, vitamin B12 tablets, or you also get shots, vitamin B12 injections. That will help you to get to take care of your vitamin B12. But as I said before, we try to get all our nutrients from the foods itself. We try not to supplement unless and until it is really necessary. So we talked about vitamin B12. So why are we interested in vitamin B12? Because vitamin B12 is necessary. A deficiency of this causes a particular type of anemia called as megaloblastic anemia. And so vitamin B, and also it causes neurodegenerative problems. So it's very important for us to take vitamin B12. Now we go move on to a mineral called as iron. And iron, as you all know, is a very important nutrient for us, and it's of two types. One is called the heme iron, and the other is called as the non-heme iron. Heme iron is present in different animal foods, like you see in this slide: red meat, then poultry, fish, all these eggs. They all contain the heme iron, and heme iron is better absorbed than non-heme iron. Non-heme iron are what is present in plant foods like lentils, spinach, nuts, all these things. They contain non-heme iron. So I would like to give the important to emphasize on the point that if a food is rich in a particular nutrient, it's just not enough, because that nutrient has to be absorbed in the body. So here we are interested in the absorption of nutrients rather than just how much of the quantity of that particular nutrient in a food. So here's, if you see that the non-heme iron is very poorly absorbed. Absorption of iron in the gut is poor. Just 2 to 20% of non-heme iron is absorbed in the gut. And the reason is that these foods like spinach and the legumes, many of these foods, they contain substances, non-nutrient substances called as phytates, oxalates, tannins, which will inhibit the absorption of certain nutrients. So that is why the absorption is very low. But if you add vitamin C to the diet, then it helps in the absorption of non-heme iron. So what are the foods rich in vitamin C? You have lime, lemons, tomatoes, potatoes, kiwi fruit, strawberries. So these are the foods which are rich in vitamin C. So adding this to the diet will help in the absorption of non-heme iron. Okay. Now, another important topic is around protein. So there are two parts to this. You have the quality of the protein, and then you have the quantity of the protein. So we are just not bothered about how much of protein we are taking in. That's part of it. And another part of it is the quality of the protein. So to know what is the quality of the protein, you should know what is an amino acid. So amino acids are small building blocks which make up a protein. So we'll come to amino acids a little later, but first I would like to mention that what are the food sources of protein. So you have lentils, you have soya, you have peanuts, pumpkin, almonds, you have dal, you have quinoa. All these are different types of foods which are rich in protein. These are all plant-based. Of course, animal-based, all the meat, fish, they're all extremely high in protein. But plant-based foods are also rich in protein, just as I've mentioned here in this chart. Now, to know what is a good protein, or a complete protein, that is, I was talking about the quality of the protein. Quality of the protein is measured in terms of being a complete protein. So what is a complete protein? So I was mentioning to you about the amino acids. So there are some amino acids. For in humans, there are 9 amino acids, and these are called as the essential amino acids, which the body cannot make. Our human body cannot synthesize these amino acids, and we've got to get it from the diet. So that is why we call it as essential amino acids. So since we are not able to, if we do not get it from the diet, then we may run into some types of deficiency diseases. There is an exception for about two plant foods which are exception, that they are complete proteins. One is soya bean and the other is quinoa. They do contain all the 9 essential amino acids. Now, to go more into incomplete protein, that is, if a protein does not contain all the essential amino acids, it's called as an incomplete protein. So, for example, legumes, our dal, they lack in a particular essential amino acid called as methionine. And cereals such as rice, wheat, then it lacks a particular essential amino acid called as lysine. Now, if vegetarians eat, vegetarians and vegans, if they eat a combination of legumes and rice, or that is cereals and legumes in their diet, then the amino acids, the protein gets compensated, because the rice will provide methionine and legumes will provide lysine, and then it becomes a complete protein. The person is able to take in complete protein. So most of the Indian diets, the Mexican diet, it is a mix of cereals and legumes. So this really helps in to get a complete protein in the diet. So most of the time when I talk about proteins, amino acids, people say that they love beans, they like protein, but the beans don't like me, they say. Why is that? That's because protein digestion is a bit complex. So it gives rise to intestinal gas or flatulence, and it causes bloating. So that's the reason why many people do not opt for eating beans or legumes. So, but in 2010, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, they have talked about the benefits of a plant-based diet. And they gave specific importance to legumes because it helps in the reduction of chronic diseases. Okay, now let's talk about the problems of eating protein. So why is it that proteins have this problem? All these legumes, plant foods which are rich in protein, why do they have this problem of causing bloating and flatulence? The reason is that they contain a particular type of a carbohydrate. We call it a trisaccharide because it's made of 3 glucose units, galactose, 3 monosaccharides, that is galactose, glucose, and fructose. And then this causes this is a very difficult carbohydrate to digest. And that is the reason why it gives rise to these problems. Where is this raffinose present? It's present in all these type of foods, which you see here in the chart. Beans, cabbage, broccoli, legumes, Brussels sprouts, asparagus. It is present in all these in all these foods. Now the question arises that do certain beans cause more gas than others? So in 2011, somebody reviewed 3 studies on this type of work, whether if certain beans caused more flatulence than other types of beans in humans. So they tried different beans like pinto beans, black-eyed beans, vegetarian baked beans, and then and then on canned carrots, which was the control group. So this experiment was done for 8 weeks by eating about half cup of these beans a day. Now the results of the study show that in the first week, black-eyed peas caused less flatulence than pinto beans or baked beans. But after 3 to 4 weeks, the flatulence levels for all the beans returned to normal as people adjusted to the increased fiber. So this study shows, this is an 8-week study, and this shows that within 4 weeks, that is half the time of the study, the body has got adjusted to a new type of food, and then the bloating and flatulence were reduced. So from the study, we can see that people may develop certain sensitivities to different kinds of beans. People vary in their response to different legumes. And if one type of beans is giving you problems, then you can switch to another type of beans and see if that works for you. Now, the best part is that we can reduce the gas from the beans. So there are studies to show that soaking beans for at least 16 hours can reduce the amount of gas produced by digestion. Then there are other suggestions as well. That is, you soak the beans for 8 to 12 hours, and every 3 hours you drain the water. Rinse the beans and again add water, and again after 3 hours you drain and rinse. So this way what happens is that you're getting rid of the substance which is causing the bloating. It is because it's getting dissolved in the water, and then you're getting rid of the water. So you're not going to consume that. So this really helps because soaking leaches out all these sugars in the beans that are responsible for the gas production. There are other ways also to reduce the gas formation from beans, and one is, and some of them are adding herbs to to the beans when they are being cooked. So, and that will make them more digestible. So some of the herbs are like peppermint herbs, ginger, fennel, cumin seeds, garlic. All this will help in the digestion of the beans. Another important ingredient which we add to our beans, our dal, is hing, that is asafoetida. So this is used regularly in Ayurvedic medicine, and it dates back thousands of years. So we usually use it for split beans. That is, I mean, Indians use it for split beans, but it can be used for any type of beans. It is it's recommended for treating indigestion and gas. So another way you can get used to eating these beans without having any gastric problems is to go slow. That if you find it difficult to digest beans, legumes, dal, then what you have to do is cook a small amount of that particular bean and just eat 1 spoonful a day. Then for a whole week, just eat 1 spoonful. And then slowly the body gets adjusted to that particular type of bean. Then the next following week, you can slowly increase it to 3 spoonfuls and then keep increasing it more and more until finally you'll be able to eat a small a bowl of beans per day, and then gradually you'll be able to eat a large bowl of beans per day. So this will really help. And here again, you eat the same type of beans throughout this experimental period so that your body gets used to it. Okay, now we come to another nutrient, which is calcium. So the calcium is another mineral which is very important for our body because we need calcium for our bones. And if you don't have enough calcium, vitamin D, then we have, we get into osteopenia, osteoporosis. Bones are very, they may become brittle. So we have these problems. So it's very important to eat a good amount of calcium every day, the required amount of calcium every day. So the promoter of calcium absorption is vitamin D. So as I said before, even though plant foods contain a lot of calcium, iron, but there are inhibitors which inhibit the absorption of these minerals in the human gut. Okay, so people who are non-vegetarians or vegetarians who are lacto-vegetarians or ovo-lacto-vegetarians, then they will not have a problem with calcium. And vitamin D is in United States, the milk is fortified with vitamin D. But not so in other countries. So we have to be very careful to remember that we cannot say milk is a good source of vitamin D because it is added here in the United States. And milk is a good source of calcium as well as vitamin D. But here we have plant foods which are rich in calcium, but we have these inhibitors like these oxalates, tannins, phytates. They inhibit the absorption of calcium in the gut. Sometimes even excess of protein and sodium can inhibit the absorption of protein and of calcium. So these are the foods which are rich in calcium. You have these are all plant foods: spinach, broccoli, cabbage, lentils. All these are very sources rich in calcium. Now we come to fats. So just as I mentioned that amino acids are the building blocks of protein, in the same way, fatty acids are building blocks for fats. Now, just as we had essential amino acids, that is those amino acids which the body cannot make, and we have to get it from the diet. In the same way, we have something called as essential fatty acids, which our body cannot make, the human body cannot make, and we've got to get it from the diet. So there are 3 types of omega-3 fatty acids. So we go with EPA, DHA, ALA because I've given the expanded form, which is quite a mouthful. It is eicosapentaenoic acid. So for short, we say EPA, and this is present in fish. Then we have the DHA, that is docosahexaenoic acid, again present in fish. Then you have the ALA, that is alpha-linolenic acid, and this is present in plants. Now the fish, how do they get their omega-3s? So the fish will eat all these algae and seaweeds in the ocean, and they have the capacity to convert this the plant omega-3s into EPA and DHA. Whereas human beings, we have a very limited capacity for this conversion. That is why if people eat fish, the EPA is already present because the fish contains EPA, and so if they eat the fish, then they get the ready-made EPA. They don't have a problem. But for us to eat a plant food, for people who are vegetarians, to eat a plant food which contains alpha-linolenic acid, and then the body's capacity to convert is very limited. So that is why we run into omega-3 fatty acid problem. And omega-3 fatty acids are very important for cardiovascular health, to reduce inflammation, and we need to get a good amount to take a daily intake of omega-3 fatty acids. Now, there are some plant sources of omega-3, that is the ALA I'm talking about. You have flax seeds, then you have flaxseed oils, then walnut oils or walnuts, then you have hemp, you have chia seeds, then edamame is nothing but soya, and navy beans. So these are rich sources of ALA, and this will, and if you take these foods on a regular basis, on a daily basis actually, then you will not have a problem with omega-3 running into omega-3 deficiencies. Okay, so milk is also a good source of omega-3. So vegetarians, lacto-vegetarians, ovo-lacto-vegetarians will not have a problem. So this particular one for vegans is a major problem. So we have covered a few minerals. We have covered the minerals, vitamins, the fatty acids, and amino acids in in plant-based foods, in vegan diets, vegetarian diets, and what are the deficiency diseases they may cause. And I've also given you the way we can overcome it, so that you know what types of foods to take to overcome these type of deficiency diseases. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take the questions. Yeah, so which proteins, plant-based or meat-based, are better and easy to digest? Also, please comment on health effects of protein deficiency and excess of proteins. Okay. There's egg is considered as the best source of quality-wise. Egg is the best source of proteins. It is actually called as a reference protein. So if you want to know if the other plant foods or animal foods are have a good quality protein, then it is compared to the egg protein. So that is the one. And then plant-based protein, like I said, you have to go through all these processes. It's hard to digest. And then it's also the frequency of use. So people who are not at all used to plant food, and then they take all these beans, they run into problems. So there's nothing like this particular food is digestible, is better. It's nothing like that. But quality wise, I said egg is the best type of protein. Okay. Protein, health effects of protein deficiency. So in children, you see very easily you see protein deficiency in children. That is, you see marasmus, kwashiorkor, all these things. You have severe problems. In adults, it's you don't see that stark type of protein deficiency. Excess protein. What happens is that the protein structure, if you see the structure of protein, it contains nitrogen. So the body has a problem to excrete that nitrogen. So if you take excess of protein, then a lot of nitrogen is getting accumulated, and nitrogen will combine with other substances to form ammonia, and that has to be excreted from the kidneys. So excess of protein will eventually cause some kidney problems, but it doesn't happen overnight. It is like extended periods of time. How many eggs recommended for a week? It depends upon your other sources of protein, what you're taking, but if you take just 1 egg per day, that's good enough, or 2 eggs a day, that is good enough. I won't say how many. You can take eggs every day. Would it be helpful to take vitamin B12 pill? Yes, it was, like I said before, vitamin B12 is vitamin B12 supplements is good, because if you run into problems of not getting a food which is fortified in vitamin B12, or you don't like to eat those seaweeds, because I have tried those seaweeds. I'm a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan. I'm a vegetarian. And then they smell of fish. So I don't like that flavor, that smell. So it's really difficult to eat those seaweeds. But again, we have to, for health purposes, we have to cultivate some things. And so I do try it out off and on and trying to get used to that smell. Yeah. Okay. Excess protein can cause gout and joint challenges. Like I said, it is, it's over time. Over time, these things happen. Just 1 day or 2 days, we eat excess of protein, or you're fine. What is a good potency? 1,000 micrograms for vitamin B12. Yes, the RDA for vitamin, RDA is the recommended daily allowance. For that is, it's 1,000 micrograms for vitamin B12. That's correct. So, any suggestions on taking any particular protein powder to meet daily requirements? I don't have any suggestions. Yeah, because you have 2 types. You have, if you're vegan, then you'll have to take a soya-based protein shake or protein powder, because the protein powders come in 2 types. One is milk-based. That is, the protein is casein. And then if it is plant-based, then it is soya. So if you are a vegan, then it's better you take a soya type, like soya milk or soya powder, or you can mix, you get soya atta, you can make soya chapatis. So you can use soya, or you can use tofu. So those are the ways you can increase your protein intake. Is there a difference for the reference value of B12 in the West compared to the Indian population? I've observed that Jains fasting more have low B12 and yet no medical issues. That Jains fasting, okay. It is standard for everybody. Once the deficiency, the recommended allowance, it is standard for everybody, in the sense for all adults, for children. It might differ that way in age-wise or gender-wise. It might differ. It may be difference, but not like West and Indian. That way we don't have it. Fasting and doing all kinds of holistic practices like yoga, meditation, it changes the whole body metabolism. So I cannot comment on that for Jane's fasting, because we somehow the body adjusts, because body can live without we've heard of rishis who have lived without food for many years. So different types of biochemical changes happen. So I don't have an answer for the Jane's fasting, but I can look into that. Then what is a good source for iron? I talked about that. What is a good source for iron? I gave you a list of all green leafy vegetable. Are you talking about Priya, right? So are you talking about plant source or animal source?
Both.
Yeah, so animal source of iron is the heme iron, that is all this liver, liver is a good storehouse of iron. The plant sources are which are green leafy vegetables. Yeah, spinach, even though it contains, it has high amount of iron, it has these oxalates, which will reduce the iron, which will inhibit the absorption of iron. So turnip greens and kale, they are a better source of iron. Turnip greens and
How about beets?
beetroot and iron. Beets are, I think, more. I think they have more of carotene, that red color. So I wouldn't say. See, many of these, a lot of these foodstuffs, they contain nutrients, almost all the nutrients. But when we say this particular food contains this, it's actually a wrong way of saying it. We should say that this particular food is rich in this nutrient. That's the way we have to express it. It doesn't mean it has only that nutrient. It has other nutrients as well. So beets also may have iron, but it is it may not be a rich source. So you may have to eat more of beets to get the same amount than when you're eating, say, turnip greens or kale.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Which proteins, plant-based or me, are better and easy to digest? Okay, that I already talked about. How about flax seeds? I mentioned flax seeds for omega-3 fatty acids. I mentioned flax seeds and flaxseed oil also. I mentioned both. So one thing about flax seeds is, to get your omega-3 fatty acids, you have to grind the flax seeds. So once they're in the powder form, then the omega-3s are released in the gut. Otherwise, you just take flax seeds as they are, then the omega-3s, they are not, they will not be absorbed. So make sure that you grind the flax seeds before consumption. Please comment on digestion ease and nutritional value of sprouted versus unsprouted beans. Yes, this is another way you can help with the digestion of proteins. Sprouted beans, they are better. They are easily digestible. So after soaking, removing all the draining of the water and again re-soaking, then you allow it to sprout for 2 to 3 days. That will also help you in the digestion. Yeah, that's also a good one. What type of rice is considered the best to consume? Brown rice, because it has a lot of fiber. It is anything unpolished, brown, so unprocessed, that is best for you. So brown rice is the best type of rice. Brown rice, wild rice, anything which is not processed. How about vegetarians using dairy products? Do they get enough nutrients their body needs? What are the substitutes for vegetarians to eat? Required nutrients found in meat, seafood, and eggs. So I think I covered this in the talk. So vegetarians who eat dairy, then they do not have a problem with B12. They don't have a problem with calcium or vitamin D. Or omega-3s. So mostly it will be iron. Milk is a very poor source of iron. So they may have problems with iron. So mostly it'll be iron, but also protein. Even though milk protein is a complete protein, still the quantity may not be good enough. So you may have to you need to eat like 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. So if you are weighing 50 kilograms, then you need like 40 grams of protein per day. So many vegetarian people, vegans, vegetarians, we are not able to meet that much. We are not able to keep up with that type of high protein intake. So that's why we take protein shakes or add protein powders to our diet to increase it. So substitute is the plants, all the plant foods are good enough. We don't really need any substitute for meat, seafood, and eggs. You have to look into omega-3s, then the total quantity of protein, and then iron. So these are the three nutrients. Is that good, Bela? Yes. Yeah, 1 minute, Rohini. I will look into some more questions and I'll take your questions.
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Can we take B complex instead of B12? Okay, B complex vitamins are many vitamins grouped together because they have some similarities. They are called as B complex. So vitamin B12, the scientific name is cyanocobalamin, that is part of the B complex. So if you look into, if you are taking a supplement, then when you look into the B complex, if you're taking a B complex vitamin supplement, then you'll have to look into the list and see if vitamin B12 is listed. So if it is listed, that's fine. Otherwise, you may have to add to it. Are you proponent of this concept? What's the main reason for start of vegan diet concept? Where did it start first and how? Are you proponent of this concept? I think it is, I don't know when it started and how it was started, but a lot of people are animal activists. They're trying to, save animals. So they don't want to hurt animals, let alone eat an animal. So that's how this whole thing started. But vegetarians don't, or they don't kill animals and eat, but even taking animal food like milk, they don't want to hurt the animal in that way also. So the vegans are a little more sensitive. So I don't want to be a vegan because I know what the problems are. So I'll continue to be a vegetarian. Yeah. Yes, Rohini. You're on mute. Yeah, you're on mute.
Oh, is it okay to eat quinoa every day, daily?
Yeah, you can eat quinoa every day. Yeah.
Quinoa daily.
Really?
Yeah.
As long as you don't get bored.
No, no. Instead of rice, I do half and half, and I make instead of sabudana khichdi, I use quinoa to make khichdi.
Okay, share the recipe with us.
I think all my Marathi friends will understand what I mean. I'll send you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Dr. Selvan, yes.
Yes, my question is, are we the so-called vegetarian? Are we truly vegetarian? Because the reason is we eat a lot of vegetables, all the thing that contains, sorry to say that, insects and other thing, and we unknowingly we consume those things. Are we really, we can characterize it to vegetarian? I'm kind of wondering over.
See, in the beginning itself, I said that the way we define vegetarian itself, it's a very loose definition. Because people who eat fish, they still consider themselves vegetarian, or they say they are vegetarian once a week. That means that they don't eat meat. So all kinds of things I hear. So so person who's truly plant-based diet. So I mean the scientific communities has recognized this. So 2012, the dietary guidelines for Americans, they have said emphasizing more on plant-based diets. So without knowledge, if we do eat insects and stuff like that, it will just help us to get more nutrients, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah.
Dr. Meena,
Yes.
I'm going with, I have two more questions. Number one is fruits only diet is a balanced diet? What would you recommend as a nutritionist? That some people eat only fruits and they say this is the best diet and we should not be eating anything else.
Yeah. So what I feel is fruits, they give you fiber, they give you the vitamins, the minerals, a good source of all this, good source of good sugars, but they cannot contribute protein to the diet. So we do need protein. So if you eat fruits along with some nuts or legumes, then that's a complete diet. So just eating fruits, I will not recommend.
And my second question is, please comment on cooked or processed food, as well as eating only just raw food. What would you recommend and what is best for our health?
Okay, I don't know what you mean by processed food, because all foods have to be processed in some way, otherwise they are not edible. So they have to be cooked, they have to be cleaned, cooked to some extent so that it's made edible. Only vegetables and fruits, only some vegetables and all fruits, they can be eaten raw. So it's limited. We can eat only fruits and vegetables raw. Processed is, if you process it at home, then you know how much of what you're adding, how long you're cooking. It's all under your control. But in America, when you say processed food, it's usually packaged food which you buy from outside. So these foods I do not recommend because they are very high in salt, yeah, and also I don't know what type of yeah, they have preservatives, and then what kind of oils they use, even though the ingredients they might list. So we don't know how much they use. So it's a lot of, we don't have much control over processed foods which we buy from outside. So, but if you cook at home, then even that is still processing, but it is limited. It is it's better. We have control over it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and I know about when you say the canned food or the food we get from outside, mostly what most of the Western people are eating. That's of course is, there are so many hundreds of ingredients into that, and you don't know which ingredient will. I mean, some ingredients we know what it causes, but there are so unknowns in that that it's not good. But the food industry just prepares, and food industry runs on that.
Yeah, another thing is that processed food that is it's available in the market, the food manufacturers, when they add sodium, they do not add iodized sodium. They just add regular salt to the foods. And since a lot of Americans eat outside food, they don't cook at home, that they're eating these foods which don't contain iodine. And also the fact that they're promoting, the scientists are promoting to eat less salt. So these two factors are contributing iodine deficiency in America. So iodine deficiency is again coming up in America because of these factors. It's not a lot, but there are such. People, we see some cases. We have seen some cases.
I think I didn't see any hands raised or any question, but the last thing which I would like you to comment on is one is the food industries in Western, even in developing countries now are increasing. Packaged food is increasing. So what is going to, even if we are becoming vegan or vegetarian or eat only like raw food or don't eat processed food, all these things are going on. But I think majority of the population, whatever we do, human race, as long as it is on this planet, that processed food and the food industry will go on, and I don't see any impact on those industries, really drastic impact I'm talking about, economically and all that. So it's increasing, it's not decreasing. Food industries aren't decreasing. So what is your opinion about that? I mean, all these new thing is okay. We want to remain healthy. We want to eat vegan. We want to use fruit. We want to use raw food. We don't want to eat non-veg because it was not meant for human. I'm against that also, because original human beings were, eating all raw foods as well as
She
meat
is
when
nutritionist,
the fire
not
was
a
not.
politician.
Can you please mute yourself, Rohini?
Rohini,
Did
please
I
mute.
guess? No?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Let me
I'm
complete my,
sorry.
and then you can ask. Okay.
Okay.
So this is just a general, like as a nutritionist, what is your vision or what is your forecast for 50 years from now or 100 years from now? What is going to happen to the food
Lot
industry
of
and what
people
human beings
have,
are going to do?
no, what I can say is that a lot of people are becoming conscious of their diet and they're becoming very holistic in their lifestyles. So in terms of diet and exercise and everything, they're becoming very holistic. So there is a tendency for people to try to eat healthy and not go for, these fast food restaurants and things like that. Now, what I see is that things are moving, the fast food and other what is that? Frozen foods and packaged foods, ready to eat meals. All these are now going to other countries. So because in India, I was looking into some serial or some show, Indian show, and there I see that they show people eating burgers, and nobody shows the heroine eating chapatis or anything. They are showing eating them burgers, drinking Coke. So it has moved there. So people should they have to be aware, like what is good. They're getting rid of their the good qualities, good diet qualities, and taking on bad things from the West. So it's hard to say, because the food industries have to survive, and then they are but there are a lot of restaurants and lot of holistic stores like Moms and Whole Foods, where they are selling, even though it's packaged, that they are going for clean labels, they are going for healthier food products. So it may change, it might take a while, because nothing can be changed overnight. But I do see a trend that more people, like more holistic stores and restaurants are catering to plant-based foods. And yeah. Yes, Rohini. Yes.
Yeah,
Swati. Yes, Swati.
yeah. I wanted to ask you, like you mentioned, iodized salt is better, right? Because of iodine.
Yes.
What is the difference between all these different salts, like Himalayan salt, pink salt, all those? Like, which one is better in all this salt? Because salt is salt.
It's just regular salt. Even sea salt doesn't contain enough of iron. It is some may not be processed a lot, but unless it says iodized salt, then other salts are just regular salt. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see.
Yeah. Thank you. It was a nice presentation.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Rohini.
Yeah, there are some vegan meat products in this
Yeah, they use
market.
soya bean. Yes.
What do you think about that?
It is a very good replica of the meat product,
Yeah.
but they make it from soya bean. So with
Oh,
soya,
okay.
they make it look like like meat. I think
Yeah.
people are attracted to that color and then the
Yes.
shape, and then so they like it that way. So yeah, that's what
It's okay to
soya.
eat once in a while, I guess.
Yeah, it's soya. It's not meat. It's just
Meat.
it's
Okay.
plant-based. That's fine. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
frozen vegetables are okay, right?
yeah, frozen.
Frozen vegetables are okay.
That's all.
Okay. Thank you. Nice presentation.
Thank you, Ben.
Dr. Somanchi, my
Thank you, Rohini.
question also frozen
Yeah.
vegetable versus fresh vegetables. Does the frozen packets have all the nutrients as we buy the fresh veggies?
Yeah, frozen vegetables are taken when they are very fresh vegetables, and immediately they are frozen. And so it's yeah. So I would always prefer fresh vegetables and recommend fresh vegetables, but if it is not available,
Once in a while.
but frozen is okay, especially when we have problems like weather problems like snowstorms or pandemics and things like that. Then it's best to go for frozen vegetables.
What is your opinion about cooking in the like warming of things in the microwave versus doing it on the stove? I have a friend, she won't eat anything warmed up in the microwave. She warms up everything on the stove. What do you say about that?
I would.
We stopped using it 5
stopped.
years ago.
Yeah, we do. I don't use microwaves anymore. So it's just heating it on the stove, steaming, things like that.
So it's bad for you. Try to avoid microwave as much as we can.
It's best not to use microwave. Yeah.
So it has a long-term effect. Like I use microwave, I make sure I don't put any plastic. Everything is warmed up in a glass, a ceramic kind of thing. So in your opinion, we should not be using too much microwave to warm up our food or what?
Yeah, it's
The
better not to.
radiation
Yeah.
from the mic.
Better not.
Microwave is you get a radiation, so it's best not to use. And it's best to warm it on a stove. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Doctor, so much.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So do we have any vegans here in our group?
My 19-year-old grandson became vegan 2 years ago. And then I have to find yogurt and ice cream, everything yogurt when I go to the store. Luckily, Trader Joe carries all the vegan yogurt made out of cashew and all that. It's a little expensive, but he wants to do that. So for him, I had bought the vegan sausages and like that once in a while.
Yeah.
So, and do you know one thing? Vegans, I think they cannot eat gelatin, so they cannot eat marshmallows. So there are vegan marshmallows now. I mean, it is to the extreme.
What do you say?
Yes.
What do you think about this Greek yogurt compared to regular yogurt? The Greek yogurt, they are now, because the protein content is more, 10 gram protein, 15 gram, 12 grams. So is this like, another food industry gimmick or?
No. It's just that if if you make the Shrikand, right? You just take the ghee and you burst. That is what is Greek yogurt. They just take the regular yogurt. It is just sieved through the cloth, makes it. It is concentrated. That's it. Yeah. So it is in Europe, Greece, and maybe some of the countries near Greece. They make their yogurt that way. So it's not any gimmick or anything. It is. It's good. No problem. So I wanted
Thank
to
you.
tell about the split beans and whole beans. So split beans is what we call as dal. And so when we split the whole beans, then we are losing some nutrients, because that's also called as processing. We lose. So now we are recommending, the scientific community is recommending to take whole beans. So your whole Kabul chana or kala chana or pinto beans or any of these. Use that, sprout it if you want to, or just soak it. So that is healthy. It has more fiber, so it's, and you don't lose, you've not lost the nutrients.
I have a question.
Yes.
So every man is susceptible to prostate cancer as they age, right? And that is never talked about in any of these sessions. So would like to hear your opinion, anything that we can do to prevent it. I know I'm thinking that Mula Bandha would help. We do that in the pranayam class every day, but anything else?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have knowledge about that, but I can read up and let you know. But as of now, I don't have any knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
We can talk about it. I'll see if there is some expert that you would like to give any session about that topic. Miski.
Yeah, this is Jayesh, Guruji.
Oh, Jayesh. Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, half of the population listening to this is men, right? And we are all susceptible to it. So it'll be a good discussion to have.
Okay.
Hi, this is Madhuri. I just first of all want to thank Doctor. Excellent presentation and a lot of information. You talked about anybody who is vegan in this group, and my son, who is a veterinary doctor, he became first vegetarian and now he's going towards vegan diet, and it is difficult. I try to tell him to eat at least eggs and milk, but to just depend on regular Indian food to get required protein and iron, it's kind of difficult. But I'm gonna forward your presentation to him.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so it was very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Meena, can you share the slides also? Then that way I can, along with the presentation, I will forward the slides also.
She can send it later.
Yes, I'll send it to you later.
I'm Meena Somanchi, spouse, and I listened to her talks, and I wanted to share a couple of things. Basically, when I see that youngsters, the new generation, some of them are very sensitive. Both of my nephews, one after the other, they went to Uganda and other places where they saw the children being used in slave terrorist type of activities, and put in risky situations and other things. So when after their trip to Uganda, they came back, they would stop eating food because they saw that those children not eating food, right? So most of the two of the people in this class, they were talking about the younger generation. So these they more like animal activists. They have become, it's nothing to do with the age maybe, but the newer generation, they are so sensitive. They may not be wanting to even taking milk from cows or buffaloes. They may not want that. So that may be one reason. Somebody asked about a vegan thing. And also I have a friend who has become a vegan because from childhood his health was not good. He was trying to do research on veganism in China, read some papers, saw that there are some benefits. I do not know what the benefits are. Moreover, what I wanted to say is about what type of food people, how people become vegans. Only thing we know is, like Meena and myself, we taught not Indians, we taught the Americans, both black and white Americans in the gyms. yoga, and some of them, after being under us for some years, one day suddenly they said they became vegetarians. We at no point we asked them to become vegetarian. So we do not even know, unless somebody does the research, how, and they were avid yoga students. We do not know how the yoga itself influences on somebody becoming a vegetarian, keeping aside the vegan part. So there are so many things that happen to us, our food habits and other things. See, even when we become sick, like we tend not to eat any food. The tongue says it cannot eat. The taste is bitter and we don't eat. So the body constitution also dictates what type of food we eat. So, and even our satsang, the type of people with whom we are, that may influence the type of food we eat. So there's so many factors play a role. Somebody asked about being a vegan. And but bottom line is, Meena being a nutritionist, what we can afford to eat, like being a vegetarian, I can take milk. I would not forgo milk and try to substitute unnecessarily some other thing. The easier thing that we can do, we will do, rather than paying the costs. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for your comments and questions and for listening.
Yeah, good set of questions.
I have one last question, actually.
Go ahead, Ram.
So, has there been any research done in, kids on a long-term basis? If kids were to be vegan, kids, let's say starting at age 5, does it impact their health in any way? If you are able to, provide all the vitamins and the calcium that you talked about in a external manner, but
Okay, I didn't really look into the research part of it, but I can do that. But without without knowing about the existing literature, I can say that it will children below children of age 5 and above, that is children, they are the growing age. They need a lot of nutrients, so they so we have to provide them on a timely basis the correct amount of nutrients. So if we are going to deprive them of milk, of protein, calcium, then their growth will definitely be affected. So, but if you're able to provide it with supplements and this and that, then it should not be a problem.
But if there are no questions, then we can end the session.
Okay, good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shri.
Thank you, Meena, very much.